Hey folks, I'm a mess. Didn't even turn my lights on. I could turn my lights on. Oh, y'all pray I can read today without falling asleep. Hopefully, there's not much more left, and I'm sorry about not getting the title up at first. I don't know what happened, except I was probably in a coma, but oh, mercy. Thanks for hanging in there with me, y'all. Oh, my goodness. And we got this doggone flashing light thing. It hadn't done that in a while. Stop doing that. Stop. Didn't turn that light on over there, but that's why. Okay, we're still in, I believe we all know, because the chapter will be up here. Part 2 of 10, I think. Don't say whopper, Davey. Say falsehood, said the schoolma'am. Why? Queried Davy, settling comfortably down and looking up with a tear-stained, investigating face. Why ain't whopper as good as falsehood? I want to know. It's just as big a word. It's slang, and it's wrong for little boys to use slang. There's an awful lot of things it's wrong to do, said Davy with a sigh. I never supposed there were so many. I'm sorry it's wrong to tell falsehoods. 'Cause it's awful handy, but since it is, I'm never going to tell any more. What are you going to do to me for telling them this time? I want to know. Anne looked beseechingly at Marilla. I don't want to be too hard on the child, said Marilla. I dare say nobody ever did tell him it was wrong to tell lies, and those Sprott children were no fit companions for him. Poor Mary was too sick to train him properly, and I presume you couldn't expect a 6-year-old to know things like that by instinct. I suppose we'll just have to assume he doesn't know anything right and begin at the beginning. But he'll have to be punished for shutting Dora up, and I can't think of any way except to send him to bed without a supper. And we've done that so often. Can't you suggest something else, Anne? I should think you ought to be able to, with that imagination you're always talking of. But punishments are so horrid, and I like to imagine only pleasant things, said Anne, cuddling Davy. There are so many unpleasant things in the world already that there's no use in imagining any more. In the end, Davy was sent to bed as usual, there to remain until noon the next day. He evidently did some thinking, for when Anne went up to her room a little later, she heard him calling her name softly. Going in, she found him sitting up in bed with his elbows on his knees and his chin propped in his hands. Anne, he said solemnly, is it wrong for everybody to tell falsehoods? I want to know. He always says, I want to know. Yes, indeed. Is it wrong for a grown-up person? Yes. Then, said Davy decidedly, Marilla's bad, for she tells them. And she's worse than me, for I didn't know it was wrong, but she does. Davy Keith, Marilla never told a story in her life, said Anne indignantly. She did so. She told me last Tuesday that something dreadful would happen to me if I didn't say my prayers every night. And I haven't said them for over a week just to see what would happen. And nothing has, concluded Davy in an aggrieved tone. Anne choked back a mad desire to laugh with the conviction that it would be fatal, and then earnestly set about saving Marilla's reputation. Why, Davy Keith, she said solemnly, something dreadful has happened to you this very day. Davy looked skeptical. I suppose you mean being sent to bed without any supper, he said scornfully, but that isn't dreadful. Of course, I don't like it, but I've been sent to bed so much since I come here that I'm getting used to it. And you don't save anything by making me go without supper either, for I always eat twice as much at breakfast. I don't mean you're being sent to bed. I mean the fact that you told a falsehood today. And Davy, Anne leaned over the footboard of the bed and shook her finger impressively at the culprit. For a boy to tell what isn't true is almost the worst thing that could happen to him. Almost the very worst. So you see, Marilla told you the truth. But I thought the something bad would be exciting, protested Davy in an injured tone. Marilla isn't to blame for what you thought. Bad things aren't always exciting. They're very often just nasty and stupid. It was awful funny to see Marilla and you looking down the well, though, said Davy, hugging his knees. Anne kept a sober face until she got downstairs, and then she collapsed on the sitting room lounge and laughed until her sides ached. I wish you'd tell me the joke, said Marilla a little grimly. I haven't seen much to laugh at today. You'll laugh when you hear this, assured Anne. And Marilla did laugh, which showed how much her education had advanced since the adoption of Anne. But she sighed immediately afterwards. I suppose I shouldn't have told him that, although I heard a minister say it once to a child. But he did aggravate me so much. It was that night you were at the Carmody concert, and I was putting him to bed. He said he didn't see the good of praying until he got big enough to be of some importance to God. And I did not know what we were going to do not know what we were going to do with that child. I never saw the beat. I'm feeling clean discouraged. Oh, don't say that, Marilla. Remember how bad I was when I came here? And you never were bad, never. I see that now when I've learned what real badness is. You were always getting into terrible scrapes, I'll admit, but your motive was always good. Davy is just bad from sheer love of it. Oh, no, I don't think it's real badness with him either, pleaded Anne. It's just mischief, and it's rather quiet for him here, you know. He has no other boys to play with, and his mind has to have something to occupy it. Dora is so prim and proper, she's no good for a boy's playmate. I really think it would be better to let him go to school, Marilla. No, said Marilla resolutely. My father always said no child should be cooped up in the four walls of a school until it was 7 years old. And Mr. Allen says the same things. The twins can have a few lessons at home, but go to school they shan't till they're 7. Well, we must try to reform Davy at home then, said Anne cheerfully. With all his faults, he's really a dear little chap. I can't help loving him, Marilla. It may be a dreadful thing to say, but honestly, I like Davy better than Dora for all she's so good. I don't know but that I do myself, confessed Marilla, and it isn't fair, for Dora isn't a bit of trouble. There couldn't be a better child, and you'd hardly know she was in the house. Excuse me. Now, Dora's too good, said Anne. She'd behave just as well if there wasn't a soul to tell her what to do. She was born already brought up. That's kind of like my Lindsay was. Hannah was too, pretty much. And Andrea. I had good girls. She was born already brought up, so she doesn't need us. And I think, concluded Anne, hitting on a very vital truth, that we always love best the people who need us. Davy needs us badly. He certainly needs something, agreed Marilla. Rachel Lynde would say it was a good spanking. And that's the end. So I'll stop this, but I'll come right back and see how much of 11 we can get done. See you shortly.